Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. I'm checking in with you on a Tuesday, kind of off schedule just because I had to travel over the weekend, and so I missed my Sunday check in with you all. So here I am today, and my goodness, has some things happened since I was last on, I guess, on Friday. A couple of things Spirit has led me to read on for you all today. Definitely got to check out this supposed Middle East peace deal. I'd be interested to hear. Feel free to leave your comments if you have been with me on the channel, and welcome if it's your first time here. I hope you stick around, hit that like and subscribe button. But I treat this platform like a community. I want, it's not just me on this end of the camera, it's you on that end. And so I appreciate your voices being heard in the comments, exchanging with one another. Just ask that we do it respectfully at all times, right? So what do you think about this Middle East peace deal? I'm going to read on it, but I'm getting a strong inclination. Like, clearly, we know there's so much more to it than what we're seeing. It just the timing, the way it's been rolled out, the fact that Bibi, for various reasons, was not a part of that whole shebang that we saw, on camera, that gathering. But here's also a piece that I saw. There is an actual document that you can find online if you're interested that announced it is titled, get ready for this, the Trump Declaration for Enduring Peace and Prosperity. All right, that's the title of the document. But it was signed off on by Kankles, we would call him. It was signed off on, Kankles signed it, the president of Egypt signed it, the emir of Qatar, or Qatar, however Qatar, most people say, and also the president of Turkey, right? Those, no, nothing coming from Israel, okay? So note that. But also, check out this blurb that's in it. Quote, I'm quoting now. We, meaning this group that signed off on it, we seek tolerance, dignity, and equal opportunity for every person, ... regardless of race, faith, or ethnicity. You put that in the context of everything that is happening under this regime in here in these so-called United States of America, right? I mean, the whole premise of that being dismantled, regardless of race, faith, or ethnicities, equal opportunity for all. Like, on its face, it something's up. It doesn't hold up. So bottom line, and we are also seeing already that there have been some quotes from various sources, especially international news outlets, where people within Bibi's IDF have been saying, listen, you all can get excited over this all you want. We're not done yet. We're not on board with all of this yet. So gonna look at that first. Then we're going to get to the government shutdown. A lot of people have been emailing me about that. I understand. And, our hearts go out to so many people who are, like, for real, being impacted at that point now where paychecks are going to go missing, etc. So we're going to look at that. And I'm going to wind up with, we know now the next target in the prosecution by the regime is Jack Smith. Interesting. All right. Spirit. The Middle East peace deal. Is that going to hold? Will there be a formal agreement, and will it hold? Will that agreement hold? Will there be a continued ceasefire? We have the Two of Pentacles, and I am reading today the Compos Mentis Tarot. I know a lot of you check out the decks that I use, the Compos Mentis Tarot. All right, Two of Pentacles, still in motion. None of this is firm, you all. This is still something that's being two sides, and a lot of talk. Will there be a two-state solution, or what, of course, Bibi wants, a single state solution? And yesterday on Air Force One, we saw the press corps, such as it is, those who are selected now to give coverage of Kankles. He said, Kankles came out and, he did his usual two-step rambling. Well, maybe some people want single state, some people want double, two-state solution. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's the crux of it. These Arab leaders who have signed on to this, or who are ostensibly standing behind Kankles right now. Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, for instance. Iran is also being, from what we understand, is kind of, sort of, maybe being brought into the mix. You're gonna have to deal with that at some point anyway. But the idea, they want that. They're like, bottom line, that's the only way this is going to hold. We have to have a seat at the table, and we have to have a definitive voice in what happens in that region. We have the Page of Swords, very tentative. Talks, yes, but talks very much in the beginning. So this whole victory lap, this whole I did this, the show, it was like political theater. It was political theater, is what my spirit guides are saying. Like, don't believe the hype. It was political theater. And we have the Ace of Pentacles. If you read with me, if you hang out with me here on the channel, that's how my guides speak. When I'm getting it right, they give me aces to say yes. So yeah, Ace of Pentacles. You all, so I almost, I don't like asking this, but I'm going to, will we see continue, because we heard on the heels of the announcement of the agreement that there were still the Israel, the military was still, doing its thing. Like, they didn't stop. They were still going in there. There was still another, what was it, 300 people in Gaza who were either killed or harmed. All right, we have the Eight of Wands. They're going for it. This is the Israeli military. They're not out of the picture, and they have not. Whatever this was Kankles trying to do Bibi a solid with the Israeli people to say, look, you're going to get your hostages back, which that was a major, major thing. You're going to get, the hostages will be released and returned. And so that was all of this praise and worship and adoration towards Kankles as the hero who saved the day regarding the release of the hostages. But what happens with that land and the desire by that military, Israeli military, over that land, that's not going anywhere. And they are already, and Eight of Wands is a card that moves swiftly. It's an energy that moves swiftly. So sooner rather than later, I think you're going to start to see hiccups in this so-called peace deal. Anything else, Spirit, around that? And the Three of Swords. Yeah. Regret, more sadness, more disappointment, and the fact that this was all, this, Spirit, was this Kankles' way of giving some putback after the Nobel Peace Prize loss. As trivial as that sounds, but that's how this guy operates, right? There is no trivial to him. It's all about the Four of Pentacles. Look, with that treasure being chained, I wanted it, and so I'm going to show that regardless of who it was given to, which now we're finding out, what was her name, Machado? Like, she's no princess. She may be leading an opposition movement, and I even got excited because, the fact that a woman and a Latina beat him out, but now we do a little more investigation into her and find she's no peach, right? But that's another thing for another day. Four of Pentacles, you all. This was his making a move to try and reestablish himself as, this world leader who technically should have received the Nobel Peace Prize. But the main players on the Israeli side, the military side, are not buying it, and they're not in it. And so I'm not getting that this is going to hold at all. And the fact that Spirit's reminding me, the guides are saying, keep your eye on the fact that part of this, because Kankles has gone in so deep now with the Arab leaders, that he's also given Bibi reassurances, but don't worry, I got your back, and committing troops to Israel, right? For the long term during this process and beyond. Keep an eye on that. We're going to go back and revisit that later, but because there's going to be more to that as well. And that is also, I'm hearing the guides are saying, because especially as we go into next year, this whole America First premise that everything should be, geared toward dealing with the utter chaos that is happening here on our shores, that you're going to now have to, you're going to box the U.S. in to have to commit troops to Israel to try and keep Israel as a main player, while you also do this tap dance with Witkoff and Kushner's help, Jared, because Jared now is clear. He never left the scene. He was always there, always in the background. But now he's right there in the room. We can see him with our own eyes, with sitting next to Witkoff, negotiating these deals, right? For this land, for this strip of land that they have determined. This is a real estate situation. They want to redevelop this land. And in order to invest the money and do this, and Kankles is playing nice with these Arab leaders because he can't fund that. There's no way he can justify. They're going to spend money. He's going to commit U.S. money and materials. I just heard money and materials. Not sure what that means, but that's what I'm getting. So there will be a USA investment, but it also is going to require a lot of money from the Arab countries. And what are they investing all of that for, right? Yeah. And Hamas is already on the scene, The Hamas is already out in force trying to say, listen, we're not going anywhere. So that's not, this whole thing is not, and it's going to get thicker, and it's going to, Spirit is saying it's going to really be a thorn in Kankle's side as he continues to try and reassure his base that he hasn't lost sight of the fact that America first. All right, moving on, you guys. Government shutdown. A lot of you, rightfully so, are extremely concerned about the timing of this, especially now that we've got layoffs that are going into effect. Timing is so hard, you all. Keep it real with you, but I will ask Spirit for some sort of indication. When I first looked at it, I felt like, and this was before the shutdown actually occurred, I read on it, and I could see it was going well into October, if not the end of October. Now we've got Mike Johnson coming out and saying, yeah, this one might set a record, right? And of course, it's all the Democrats' fault, but this one might set a record. Spirit, please show me some indication of the time frame for the government shutdown. Will it go 6 of Pentacles? So that's an increased... there is going to be some give and take. I'm getting from that because the 6 of Pentacles is a card of give and take, as depicted here. We've heard Kankles, it's sort of in the taco aspect of Kankles having hinted that there may have to be some leeway around the Affordable Care Act. Because that's the hard line that the Dems have struck here. We've got the High Priestess. I'm asking about time. Now that is indicating once again the unknown, or from a spiritual perspective, there are aspects of this that are still developing. Because one thing Spirit does not do is override the free will of people. And that is why, just for many of you who watch readers, I'll speak just for myself, that is why timing becomes an issue, or absolutes in readings become an issue. Because Spirit does not dominate or override the free will of people, whether they are coming from a good place or a not so good place. And that also speaks to why we are seeing and witnessing and living the impact of so much of this darkness that is taken hold. So the High Priestess, there is an aspect of the unknown here, but here comes the Sun. I love that. That's a resolution. That is light after a period of unknown and darkness. Spirit, is this then, will this break by November? Will we have a deal reached, a resolution by November? We have the Page of Pentacles. I like that, actually. And it feels like it could be early November. Will we see a breakthrough in November? The 5 of Cups, so there's disappointment. And a struggle. But there's the 2 of Cups. There's some sort of agreement. There's some sort of agreement, you all, and it's gonna be disappointing to some. It's not gonna be the okay, we cave on this, and so all of the subsidies will remain in place. There's gonna be some sort of carve out so that they don't come away. The GOP faction doesn't come away looking like a total loser or like they cave to the Dems. Like that's their bottom line order that they've been given by Kankles and company. Don't give them everything. Don't cave to the Dems. And there's the Nine of Swords, because that still leaves certain people without. So it feels like what Spirit is saying is there's some sort of carve out where it may not, the impact may not go into effect as they planned at the end of the year, where the premiums are hiked beyond, 100%, 200%. People just are not going to be able to afford it. But to what extent will they perhaps be hiked that causes this Nine of Swords energy? Like, I still got to pay more money, or there's still not, there's inadequate coverage for those on Medicaid, etc. That kind of example. Two of Swords, the decision, it's almost like pick your poison. Choose the lesser of a bad deal. What's the lesser of a bad deal? But timing again, Spirit, I want to stay in that. Timing. Will we see a resolution? Will the government reopen in November 2025? Will the government reopen in November 2025? I have the Lovers. That's a decision that's made to reunite, to figure some things out and come together. I cannot see when in November, but at this point, you all, I feel like that's a good enough indication. There's some sort of decision that's reached, harmony in a, sort of cryptic meaning of that word, between these two sides, between the Dems and the Republicans. The Five of Swords, still, it ain't going to be pretty. It ain't going to be pretty. They will not cave on this, but they will do enough. Temperance, exactly. Thank you, Spirit. Temperance is alchemy. Temperance is two polarities or two opposite things trying to come together and create something. But that something that they create, again, I'm getting you all, there will be some sort of, it'll be enough to push the Democrats maybe far enough in to go ahead and reopen government, but it will not deliver on everything that the people want in terms of that. And again, that could be the percentage of what they have to pay, or where the coverage, carving out where coverage is more applicable than other places. But speaking of which, by the way, I was surprised to learn that I saw some reports that up to 80% of enrollees through the ACA, Affordable Care Act, 80% are in red states. Now we knew that was a whole lot. And we knew that the Maga voters were going to be deeply, deeply impacted by this. But 80% of those enrolled in the Affordable Care Act in the red states. So that's what we were seeing in that Five of Swords energy, where the GOP element aspect, members of Congress, they recognize they are over a barrel and they've got to do something, but they can't look like they've caved, right? That's the bottom line. All right. And also, Spirit is saying, keep in mind, they just reminded me. So you've got Scott Besson out there. We know that Saturday is the No King's Day protest. I am getting that because of this red state situation with the Affordable Care Act and the healthcare subsidies, the threats against them. I think you're going to see some MAGA. Two things. You're going to see some agitators that they're going to try and plant in the protests, but I think people already know that and they're on the lookout for it, organizers, and they're going to be prepared to deal with that. They're going to have a lot of local law enforcement there to protect and help assist with their permitting, etc., to make sure that anybody who tries to infiltrate and cause a disturbance or ruckus, they will get dealt with and handled. But I also get that there are going to be, even if they're undercover, even if they may be the ones showing up in some of the costumes, the frogs and the chickens and the penguins and the sharks, whatever. They may be the ones showing up in some of these costumes that you're going to have MAGA voters that are turning this Affordable Care Act situation has been a tipping point for them. They are upset. They're angry. You've even, you got Joe Rogan out here now increasingly no, like, never ever going to get invited to my family picnic, but he's out there saying this is just not what we the MAGA base wanted at all. Spirit, are you going to have? Will there be MAGA base, the base, turning out for the No King's Day protests? Because you got Scott Besson out there saying, Page of Pentacles, they are certainly thinking about it. They're certainly thinking about it. At least a portion of them are. And you've got Besson out there saying, no kings equals no paychecks. Like, to try and sell people on that. So the opposite of that is, if you're okay with a king and authoritarianism, you'll be straight. Like, whoa, these people. Seven of Pentacles, because it comes down to the practicality for many, many MAGA voters who are regretting their vote right now. They did not. This is not what was on the agenda. This is not what they interpreted Project 2025 to really be about. Right? Seven of Pentacles, reassessing where they stand, but they're struggling with it. They haven't flipped the table yet on Cankles. That loyalty is something I will never ever comprehend. They haven't flipped tables on him, but they're considering what their moves are. However, last card I just pulled, the Tower. They are at a breaking point. Many of them are at a breaking point. They too are being, Spirit is reminded, they too are being deeply impacted by these layoffs, the shutdown itself and the layoffs that are now occurring. Oh, and I'm sorry, Spirit is saying backtrack. Many of you were asking about back pay and rehires. Back pay is a real question mark, you all. Just as what Spirit just said is, just as Kenkel said to Hexeth, find the money to pay the military. I don't care where you got to go get it. Find the money to pay to pay the troops, right? Because we want to keep them happy, we want to keep deploying them. There's going to be some find the money for certain government workers within certain departments and agencies, but not across the board. That's what I'm hearing, you all, and that's horrible. I get it, but I can only give you what I'm getting in my spirit from my guides. All right, there will be perhaps some more carve outs where the word comes down from the White House. Find some money to pay some of these folks because we need them. For instance, the CDC people who got employees who got let go, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoops, let's get some of them back. We went way too far with that, right? That sort of thing where there's rehires. So yes, Spirit is saying there will be rehires, but it will be piecemeal, and it will depend on which departments and the extent to which they can carve out money for some of them. Wholesale rehires, wholesale, everybody come on back, we didn't mean it, and here's your money back. I'm sorry, at this point, that's not the guidance that I'm getting. But there will be some. It will be very dependent on which agencies, the function of those agencies, and the extent to which they can tap money that may have already been approved by Congress, or that they can sidestep congressional approval and put that money back in the kitty. All right, you all. And the final thing I wanted to look at. So, by the way, interesting piece, just humor, something to make us smile in this moment. So Time Magazine, if you all haven't seen it yet, Time Magazine has a cover of course, all this adoration and adulation of Kenkles over this, shell game of a Mideast situation. But the picture that they chose is like it's an angle coming at him from underneath, and it makes it look like he has like two strands of hair. And apparently, in the midst of everything else that he's doing and supposed to be focused on, he pitched a fit about the way that picture makes him look, like that vanity and that ego. He pitched a fit about and the whole hair thing. The hair thing has been a thing for many years, right? He's having a fit about the way that Time Magazine cover made him look. But also last night we saw Man, did Tish James bring the fire at that rally in New York for Zohran Mamdani, who is going to win by a landslide. Point blank, period, exclamation point. He is going to win by a landslide. And she referred to, Tish James referred to Mamdani as her little brother. Like, there is such solidarity. There is such a growing, because she said, Tish James in her speech, she said, this is us all. Like, she recognizes that she has been singled out, and the role that she is stepping into that is larger than her just being the Attorney General for the state of New York, right? Spirit has said, and even I think in my last reading and onward, her career, this whole thing is going to catapult her career, and we will see a lot more from her, and even perhaps as Attorney General of the United States or something on a larger stage. Mark those words, write them down. All right. So that was really powerful and certainly needed at this time, especially as we inch toward not just the elections in New York, but the mayoral election, but just in general, the October 18th, no Kings protests, etc. That momentum, we're going to need more and more of it. And so it was really good to see that. All right. Jack Smith, next in line. Now, this Lindsay, what's her name? Lindsay Halligan is like elbowing Pam Bondi out of the way, right? She's like, you could step aside, watch me work. Now, interestingly, and perhaps strategically, Spirit is saying, and some political experts have been saying, this is all kind of sort of maybe what Bondi should do, because we know, and I will look at it another time, there's a real possibility that because of the illegality of a lot of the moves that the DOJ has made under Bondi's watch, Bondi could be in some real trouble down the line, as could Todd Blanche, right? So it's interesting that on these recent indictments, Tish James, and we're going to look at what's coming with Jack Smith, that on these recent indictments, that they are not, Bondi and Blanche are not the ones signing off and pushing it. Now, the media is spinning that Kenkel's got, exasperated and was like, okay, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to get this Halligan over here to step up, and because she's going to handle things. But I also think that Halligan is really, she can't see the forest for the trees. She's not aware of how deep she's about to go into the deep end of all of this and the ramifications on the other end of it down the line, right? That she could in fact be brought up on some charges down the line. And I think that's what Bondi and Blanche are starting to realize as time goes on. Like, they're in too deep. They're not going anywhere. But the extent to which their name can be traced on, and they are at the forefront of some of these prosecutions, that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how they weave and duck and dodge their way through that. Now, Jack Smith. I'm getting like, Jack Smith is somewhere chilling. Like, he knew this was coming. He knew this was coming as soon as Kenkels won the election. He knew this was coming, and he's planned for it. He's got things in place, just as Comey and Tish James have got cream of the crop legal representation. My gosh, the people who Jack Smith has. Oh my gosh. All right, Jack Smith. Will we see an indictment of Jack Smith? Will we see sooner rather than later? Like in the coming weeks, will we see Jack Smith get indicted? Page of Cups, so it's swirling. It's still in the, quote unquote, build the case. Speaking of which, the Comey's attorneys are already fussing and saying, look, what's up? You brought these indictments, but the DOJ won't turn over the so-called evidence that they have against Comey. So it's as if it's, again, another shell game. They are doing all of this. They are going forward and prosecuting these people, but there's no case there, which was why the prior folks who were in, what's the name, Siebert, whatever, that's why they never went forward with it. That's why Bondi herself never really went full on with it, because there was no there. There wasn't enough there. How it even got through the grand juries, I big question mark. All right, Three of Wands. Is that a time frame that they'll bring the indictment against Jack Smith? Will it be like within the next 3 weeks? Is that what you're showing me? 3 weeks, 3 months? Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, they're still building it. They're still working. And this is personnel. Because remember, Halligan she has no prosecutorial experience. She had to go, and members of the DOJ, who she's already started firing on her end, Eastern District of Virginia, I believe it is, she's already gotten rid of like 20-year veterans, right? People who know how to do the doggone job. They're out. She had to bring in a couple of attorneys from North Carolina or somewhere on the Tish James case. So this Eight of Pentacles is like, this is a card of mastery and skill. They are scrambling to find attorneys on their end, even remotely capable of prosecuting a case against a Jack Smith. Jack Smith. The Jack Smith. Yeah, that's a problem. Two of Pentacles, moving slowly, but that is the plan. They will do it. The problem is personnel. And Eight of Cups. Ooh, eventually, though, they walk away. They have no choice but to walk away. I wonder, Spirit, will the grand jury refuse to indict Jack Smith? They may try and bring the indictment, but will the grand jury refuse to? Whatever grand jury they convene, will they refuse to indict Jack Smith? Five of Cups. Ooh, they're struggling. They are struggling because whatever they present to that grand jury is going to be so friggin' flimsy. This whole manila folders. He got caught planting some manila folders in the White House or wherever it was. Like, And the Hermit. The details, the analysis, the evidence. There's a two-pronged problem here, you all, with them proceeding with Jack Smith. Now, they're determined to do it. I see wolves' fangs and sharks' teeth. They're determined to go forward. And like, they want him bad, bigly. They want him bigly. But there is both a concern around evidence and a very, very strong concern around which attorneys they have or can find to be with the DOJ, to prosecute on behalf of the DOJ. So Jack Smith is sitting pretty. All of these people will ultimately. Comey, Tish James, these cases are not going anywhere. This is not just spiritual and guided spiritually. Every legal expert in the world has said, what a waste of time. What an absolute waste of time. All right, you all, I hope that was helpful. I'm so glad to be back with you today. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. I got some good traction in recent weeks with you all who have hyped my videos. I thank you so very much. I'm working hard to build the channel, make this a bigger platform for us all. So I truly, truly appreciate your help if you would hype the video, spread the word about the channel, and remember, chin up. Now, more than ever, chin up, shoulders back, stay calm, keep that nervous system together. Remember to breathe. Remember deep breaths. Remember to keep yourself centered. Remember there is momentum, and light always overcomes darkness. Wish you could just cancel it out, but hey, it is what it is. But light always, darkness cannot survive when the light starts shining. Cancels it out. All right, remember that. I hope that's helpful, and I'll talk to you real soon. I may jump back on tomorrow, just to kind of stay on my schedule. We'll see how the wind blows. You know what Fefe means, the wind. We'll see how the wind blows. I'll talk to you real soon. I appreciate you. Bye.